My name is Claire Harrington, and I'm 41 years old. 3 weeks ago, I was standing near the entrance of a private dining hall in the Northeast watching my younger brother lift a bourbon glass and announce to 28 people that I hadn't contributed a single dollar to my parents' anniversary celebration. My uncle applauded once and said to let the real family savor the moment. My mother examined her napkin. My father examined the table. I placed my purse on my shoulder, picked up my jacket, and walked out without saying a word. 55 minutes later, the events coordinator of that venue returned through the mahogany double doors, carrying a slim black payment folder, and every single person at that table held their breath. Before I tell you what was inside that folder, please take a moment to like and subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. Now let me take you back to a Wednesday afternoon 3 weeks before the party. My office, 3:52 p.m. The phone rang at 3:52 on a Wednesday, and the screen read, "Mom." I minimized the report I was reviewing and answered, "Claire, darling." My mother's voice carried that soft, hesitant tone she used whenever she needed something but couldn't say it directly. "Do you have a second?" "Always, Mom. What's going on?" "It's about your father and my anniversary. The 30th. A pause. Derek said he'd handle everything, but he's just, oh, honey, you know how stretched he is with Vanessa, with his schedule." I knew exactly how stretched my brother was. "Mom, just say it. Could you look into a restaurant? Somewhere really lovely? I hate to even ask." She wasn't asking. She was doing what she had done throughout my adult life, lowering a heavy bag of family responsibilities onto my lap while calling it a small favor. I glanced at the framed photo of Sophie on my desk. My daughter, 8 years old, laughing at the beach with a missing front tooth. I looked at the client files cued on my screen. I thought about the last 4 birthdays, the last 2 Christmases, the housewarming, the funeral for my grandmother, Eleanor. "I'll handle it, Mom." "Oh, sweetheart, thank you so much. Don't stress about the cost. You and Derek can divide it." I didn't correct her. "Love you, Mom. Tell Dad I love him." We hung up. I sat in the silence of my office for half a minute, watching the cursor blink. Then I opened a new tab and typed, "Private dining venue, Vermont, 28 guests." I said yes that afternoon, the way I had always said yes. It was the last easy yes of my life. I got home at 6:15. The smell of garlic and rosemary greeted me at the door. Daniel was at the stove, quietly chopping an onion with the calm patience he brought to everything. "Hey, babe. Hey." I hung my coat. Mom called. Derek dropped it again. He glanced up and set down the knife without a word. "Do you want me to come to the venue scouting? To the party when it happens?" "You were already coming. I was going to wait in the car if you needed space." Sophie came sprinting from the hallway in pajamas and one sandal. "Mommy, I painted you something." She pressed a construction paper sheet into my hands, a tall stick figure with curly hair carrying a big bag. "Baby, this is incredible." "Mommy, will we see Grandma soon?" I knelt. "Yes, sweetheart. Grandma and Grandpa are having their big anniversary dinner. We're all going together." "Okay." Sophie paused the way children pause when something is sitting heavy in their chest. "Grandma didn't come to my recital." "No, she didn't, love. Is she coming to this party?" "It's her party, baby. She'll be there." "Good." Sophie studied her painting. "I'll bring this for her then." She ran back down the hall. I looked at Daniel. He was watching me with that gentle, worn expression that had learned every version of my family's disappointments. "One event," I said. "That's all I'm signing up for." "Whatever you decide," he said, picking up the knife again. "I'm with you." No commentary. That was Daniel. 9 years of marriage, the quietest, most reliable alliance of my life. Derek called Saturday evening at 8:47. I was in the bath, reading something forgettable. "Hey, sis." His voice had the false warmth of someone opening a negotiation. "Mom told me you're handling the party. Appreciate you stepping up." Stepping up. His phrase for whatever he'd abandoned. "Sure. Where are we thinking? Still upscale, right? Mom deserves the best." "So budget. I'll go halves, obviously. Just put me on the invoice up front. I want you to know that." I waited. Derek always kept talking when the other person went quiet. "Things are a little snug right now. Vanessa's new wellness brand. You know how it goes. But I'll settle everything. Just make sure my name's on the reservation. So people know, you know? A family thing. Both of us. There it was. Not a contribution. A credit claim. Derek. Yeah. The invitation will say Mom and Dad. It's their anniversary. Right. But like, hosted by, you know what I mean? I reached for a towel and stood up. We'll sort it out at the party. Cool. Love you, sis. He said it fast, like hanging up a phone on a conversation he'd never started. I sat on the edge of the tub and thought about how long I had been letting him construct a story around me without ever correcting it. 15 years of the script. I wasn't writing it this time. Let me tell you why I chose to pay the whole bill myself. Last June, my mother had her knee surgery. The procedure went well. The recovery costs did not. My father's small contracting business had slowed through the spring in ways he didn't mention to anyone, the kind of slow where you shift the numbers to a different folder and hope summer picks up. I knew because I filed their taxes every year, and the numbers told stories my father would never say out loud. So I knew what would happen if I named the real price of a 30-person anniversary dinner. My mother would say no. She'd say, "Sweetheart, let's just do the backyard." She'd mean it. And my father would agree, quietly relieved. And Derek would insist on going in, then quietly fail to send anything. And my parents would somehow cover the gap, and my mother would wear that pressed, tired smile she wore whenever she was quietly paying for her own presence at her own life. I didn't want that. I'd received a significant bonus in October. New partnership track, larger client portfolio, my name finally in the firm's letterhead. Enough to cover the whole dinner without feeling it. So I decided to handle it quietly. I'd tell Mom it was a venue package, a flat seasonal rate. Don't ask. This wasn't a statement or a trap. I wasn't arranging chess pieces. I just wanted my mother to sit down at her 30th anniversary dinner, lift a fork, and not calculate. That was the plan. It held for 3 weeks. The Hearthstone Lodge sat at the end of a winding road in Woodstock, 45 minutes from my parents' home. A converted farmhouse that had appeared in 2 travel magazines. I drove up Monday morning to meet the coordinator. Her name was Priya Mehta. Dark blazer, direct eyes, a handshake that said she ran this operation. "Miss Harrington, right this way." She walked me through the cedar room. Exposed beams, stone hearth, a long cherrywood table that seated 30. Private garden entrance. Soft pendant lighting. "Your mother is going to adore this," she said. Date: October 25th, Saturday, 7 p.m. Guest count: 28, possibly 30. Menu: 3-course plated, halibut, beef tenderloin, mushroom risotto for vegetarians. Open bar, sommelier's wine selection, toast around 8:15. She wrote steadily. Deposit is $1,200. Balance charged to card on file at end of service. Any dietary needs? Difficult guests? I laughed once. Define difficult. She smiled. Anyone I should know about? My brother will likely attempt to claim he organized this. He may even try to hand over a card at the end, so he can say he contributed. Please don't let him. Understood. I signed the agreement. My name: Claire Harrington. Host of record. She slid her card across the table. Cell number in the corner. Any last-minute adjustments, you call me directly. Not the front desk. Me. I walked to my car. The sky above Woodstock was that sharp autumn blue that makes you believe nothing difficult can exist in open air. I set the folder on the passenger seat and drove back. The Sunday before the party, I drove to my parents' house to help Mom with the seating cards. My father was in the garage pretending to organize tools. Derek's car was in the driveway, freshly detailed. He greeted me in the kitchen with a shoulder pat. City sister comes through again. Sophie ran off to find my grandfather. I started laying out name cards on the dining table. Mom handed me her guest list. That's when I heard my father's voice from the kitchen, barely above a whisper. "Linda, about the $14,000 for Derek. She's right there. He hasn't said a word about it. He will when things settle. Let him get through the party." I stood very still. My hands went cold. A minute later, Derek wandered in, cracked open a drink, and looked at me sideways with that easy grin. "Hey, sis. Quick thing. You still have a spare key at Mom's? The one from that time Sophie fell asleep after Christmas? It's in the hall drawer." "Cool. Just in case." "In case of what?" "Oh, you know. Just in case." He winked and walked out to the garage. I wrote one more name on a place card. My fingers trembled once. My Aunt Patricia called Thursday, 4 days before the party. Her name on my screen was a physical reaction, something sharp under the ribs. Hello, Aunt Patricia. Claire. Her voice had that clipped precision of a woman who'd spent years practicing disappointment. I heard you're organizing Saturday. Just making sure it won't be too chaotic. You know how your mother gets. The Cedar Room is fully private. It'll be quiet. And the food? Your mother's stomach. There are 3 options. Mom can choose whatever works. A pause. Well, that's thoughtful. She sounded almost annoyed to find me thoughtful. I just want you to know, Claire, that Derek has been doing a great deal for your parents. The grocery runs, the doctor visits last fall. I'm not sure you fully appreciate it, living so far away. I appreciate it, Aunt Patricia. A silence designed as a verdict. Well, come early Saturday. Real family should be there to greet everyone. My back molars pressed together. I'll be there when the first guest arrives. Have a good night. I hung up before she could finish. Daniel looked up from the kitchen counter. Patricia! Patricia! What did she say? That real family should come early. He set down his mug. 3 more days, Claire. I nodded. I put my phone face down. That phrase, real family, would return on Saturday louder in front of 28 people. She'd been rehearsing. Wednesday, Derek asked to meet for coffee. To nail down final details, he said. He brought Vanessa. She was polished in the way people get when their image is their business. Highlighted hair, structured bag, a laugh that landed a beat too late. Hi, Claire. She hugged me. Derek's told me how much work you've put into this party planning. We sat. Derek ordered something with oat milk, like he'd been doing it all his life. So, he said, Vanessa and I were just talking about how good it is we're splitting this. Vanessa, I told her you have a kid. We can carry more of it. Vanessa nodded warmly. He insisted. I love that about him. Derek wouldn't meet my eyes. I could end this right here. I could look at Vanessa and tell her Derek wasn't paying for a single thing. I could watch her expression collapse. I could, but Sophie had a school concert Thursday, and my mother had waited 30 years for this dinner. And Vanessa was just a witness to a lie I had allowed to run for years. We'll settle up after the party, I said. Derek exhaled. Vanessa squeezed his hand. You're such a good brother, she told him. He's trying, I said, voice perfectly level. Derek's eyes snapped to mine to check me. I smiled at him without warmth. We finished the coffees. I paid for all 3. Vanessa thanked me. Derek said we'd talk Saturday. In my car, I sat with both hands on the wheel for 2 full minutes before I started the engine. One more kindness. His last. Friday evening, I was at my desk finalizing the RSVP count when Sophie shuffled in, hair damp from her bath. Mommy. Yes, love. Mommy, why aren't you smiling? I am smiling. Not with your eyes. I laughed softly. She climbed into my lap. She smelled like lavender soap and her dad's shampoo. Mommy, Aunt Vanessa called me yesterday after school. I went still. She did. She said Uncle Derek is paying for a really big party for Grandma and Grandpa. My jaw tightened. She said Uncle Derek is really, really generous. Is he, Mommy? I turned the chair, so Sophie was facing me. I held her small hands. Baby, listen to me. People who truly do something good don't need to announce it. Really generous people are quiet about it. So, Uncle Derek isn't. I didn't say that, sweetheart. I said loud doesn't always mean real. She chewed this over, deeply serious. Okay, that makes sense. Good girl. Off to bed. She slid down, then paused at the door. Mommy, are you quite generous? Go brush your teeth, baby. She grinned and ran. I sat at my desk for a long time afterward. Then I opened my notes app and typed one line. After Saturday, I am not responsible for stories that are not mine. I saved it. I closed the phone. Something inside me that had been loose for 20 years clicked quietly into place. Saturday would come. I'd show up. I'd be gracious. I'd pay the bill I'd agreed to pay. And something, not everything, but something would end. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. I arrived at the Hearthstone Lodge, 3 hours early. My mother had asked for a walkthrough. I wanted to be there first. Priya met me at the garden entrance with a clipboard and a calm expression. Miss Harrington, right this way. The Cedar Room had been set while I drove up. Ivory linen, warm candlelight, centerpieces of dried lavender and white dahlias, exactly what I had shown the florist on my phone. My mother would cry at those flowers. "It's perfect," I said. Priya walked me through. She pointed to the small walnut side table near the entrance. "Checkout station. Your card on file. I'll process around 9:15 once dessert has settled." She paused and added, in the measured tone people use when offering an out, "Miss Harrington, if anything changes this evening, anything at all, and you wish to withdraw the authorization, you have a 60-minute window from the moment you contact me. After that, I have to process." I looked at her. "It won't come to that." "Of course." A professional smile. "But we always prepare." She pulled a second card from her pocket and slid it across. "Her cell number. Any changes, you call this number." "Not the front desk." "Me." I put the card in my wallet, behind my license. That card would turn out to be the most important piece of paper I owned that day. Guests arrived between 6:35 and 6:55. Cousins I hadn't seen since the previous year. My father's old business partner, Frank, smelling like cedar and cold air. 2 couples from the neighborhood who'd known my parents for decades. I greeted every single one of them. Daniel stood beside me, hand at the small of my back, easy and warm. Aunt Patricia arrived at 6:42 in a burgundy blazer. She hugged me with the stiffness of someone performing an obligation. "Claire, you made it. I half expected work to pull you away." "Work doesn't take priority over my parents, Aunt Patricia." She patted my arm and moved on. Derek and Vanessa came in at 6:48. Derek stopped in the doorway and let out a slow, audible whistle, loud enough for the first row of guests to turn. "Wow. Vanessa, look at this place." "Babe, it's stunning. I told you I'd find somewhere incredible." 2 cousins turned toward Derek, impressed. "Derek, you really went all out. Anything for Mom and Dad." He laughed. He accepted the praise with a modest shrug. I was 10 feet away at the welcome table, writing in the memory book. I didn't look up. Daniel's hand pressed once, firmly at my back. I wrote, "Happy 30th. We love you." And I signed my full name. Then I closed the book. Derek walked the room like a man who'd built it himself. Shook hands, accepted compliments, clapped Frank on the shoulder like an old friend. Vanessa beamed at his side. I turned to Daniel. Let him have his moment. He nodded. For now. My parents came in at 6:58. My mother wore a navy dress I'd never seen. My father wore his charcoal blazer, freshly pressed. They came in holding hands, the way they only did in old photographs. Mom, Dad. My mother's eyes filled. "Oh, honey." She pulled me in and held on longer than usual. Into my shoulder, she whispered, "This is too much. Thank you. And thank Derek, too." I stayed still. "I love you, Mom." My father gave me his quick, firm hug. "Beautiful job, Claire." "Really?" 5 words. A lifetime of collecting 5-word reviews from him. Sophie ran up. "Grandma, I brought you a drawing." My mother bent down. "Let me see, sweetheart." Aunt Patricia's voice cut across the room. "Linda, come sit with me. The main table's filling up." "Just one moment, Pat." "Linda, come on." My mother straightened, patted Sophie's hair, and followed Patricia without turning around. Sophie stood with the drawing in her hand. The edges were already soft from her grip. I knelt. "Baby, Grandma will look at it after dinner. She has to go be the guest of honor right now." "Okay." Sophie handed me the drawing. "Will you keep it?" "I'll keep it safe." I led her to our table, table 3, near the side door. Daniel pulled out her chair. I tucked the drawing against my water glass where I could see it all night. The first course landed at 7:18. Crab cakes, a small cup of roasted parsnip soup. The room lifted the way rooms do when the first good bite confirms the evening is going to be worth remembering. Derek stood at 7:24, tapped his champagne flute with a dessert spoon. "Hey everyone, quick moment." The room quieted. 30 years. 30 years these 2 beautiful people have been building something together. Laughter, warmth. Vanessa and I wanted to do something truly special. So we chose this place, set the menu, worked with the chef. Because our mom and dad deserve nothing less. Glasses lifted. To Mom and Dad. To family. Everyone drank. My mother pressed her napkin to her eyes. My father cleared his throat. I held my glass and did not drink. Aunt Patricia stood before the applause finished. "I'd like to add something." She lifted her flute. Real family isn't the people who send a gift card. Real family is the people who are there year after year. The ones who don't move away and build a separate life. She looked directly at me for exactly 1 second, then back at my mother. To the ones who stayed. To the ones who stayed. My mother didn't look at me. My father didn't look at me. Daniel picked up his fork like nothing had happened. I set my full glass back on the table. I still had 40 minutes to be gracious. I made it 35. I need to stop here for a second. If you have ever been at a table where someone took credit for what you built, where the people who should have spoken up stared at their plates, hit that like button and drop the word "seen" in the comments, so I know you're with me. The hardest moment is still coming. Before I tell you what my brother said at 8:05 that changed everything, I need to know you're still here. Now, back to the cedar room. Main course arrived at 7:38. I watched the plates go by. My mother got the halibut with sauce on the side. They'd remembered. At my table, 2 cousins, Gina and Thomas, tried to make polite conversation. They were kind people. Gina taught middle school. Thomas ran a small nursery. This venue is absolutely gorgeous, Claire. Really glad you like it, Gina. Derek really came through, didn't he? Daniel reached for his water glass. He didn't look at me. It's a beautiful room, I said. I cut my tenderloin. Chewed. It tasted like paper. At the main table, Aunt Patricia was laughing loudly at something my mother had said. She was 19 years old, and she tells us she's moving to the city. Linda came to my kitchen that night and wept for an hour. My mother gave a polite, thin laugh. Gina glanced at me. Thomas looked at his plate. Daniel leaned close. Claire, say migraine. We leave. Not yet. I said I'd stay for dessert. He nodded and cut his food slowly. He didn't push. Sophie, beside me, was building a small fortress out of her dinner roll. Mommy, can I have cake before Grandma's song? There's no song tonight, baby. Just cake. Oh, she considered this. That's okay. I smoothed her hair. I told myself I'd stay another 25 minutes. I lasted 22. Derek came to our table at 7:51, second bourbon in hand. Tie already loosened. He put his palm on the back of my chair. Hey, sis. Don't feel bad about the small table, okay? He grinned at Gina and Thomas. Main table's for the people who actually pulled this together. No offense. Gina's smile did not reach her eyes. Derek, I said. What? I'm kidding around. Sisters, am I right? He laughed. How many of those have you had tonight? He blinked. Come on, Claire. Go back to your table. I'm eating. He straightened. The grin stayed, but something beneath it shifted. You used to be fun. Go back, Derek. He went. Slow, performing ease. Stopped to clap a cousin on the arm. Vanessa watched him return. Her eyes held on me for a long second. She was beginning to understand. Daniel exhaled once, long and controlled through his nose. Do you want to leave now? Not yet. Sophie tugged my sleeve. Mommy, why was Uncle Derek being silly? He had too much grown-up juice, sweetheart. Oh, okay. She went back to her fortress. Thomas, quietly across the table. Claire, you let us know if you need anything. Thank you, Thomas. I kept eating. My hands were steady. My pulse was steady. The only thing moving in my chest was a clock. The dinner plates had just been cleared when Sophie tugged my sleeve again. Mommy. Yes, love. Why didn't Grandma hug me earlier? I set down my napkin. Daniel was still. He wasn't going to step in. He knew me. He knew this moment was mine. Baby, come here. Sophie climbed halfway into my lap, legs dangling. Her drawing was still beside us on the linen. Mommy, does Grandma love me? Grandma loves you, sweetheart. Then why? I took a slow breath. Gina was politely not listening 2 seats away. I didn't care. Mia, sometimes grown-ups make choices that don't match how they feel. A little. Sometimes grown-ups let other grown-ups tell them how to behave. That's not kind. Aunt Patricia told her? Yes, love. That's not nice. No, baby, it's not. Sophie chewed her lip. Mommy, do you still love Grandma? I do. Even when she does that. Yes, love. Loving someone doesn't mean you let them make you small. The words came out before I'd rehearsed them. Like someone else said them. They tasted like water after a long summer. Sophie nodded, thought hard, then slid back into her chair. Okay, I'm going to draw Grandma another one anyway. You do that, baby. She flipped over the back of a menu and uncapped her little crayon box. I looked across the room. Derek was on his feet again, straightening his jacket, scanning the room like a man who'd been rehearsing his next line. Daniel's hand found mine under the table. "Here we go," he murmured. Dessert came out at 8:03. Creme brulee, dark chocolate tort, a coffee station in the corner. My mother waved me over. I got up and walked toward her. I was 3 feet away when Derek stood. He stood up fast, bourbon sloshing over the rim of his glass. He looked at me. He smiled the smile of a man who had been waiting for this moment all evening. Loud enough for every fork to stop. "Hey, sis, try not to eat too much over here. You didn't pay for any of this." The room went completely still. Aunt Patricia clapped her hands once, a single bright, sharp sound, and said, in a voice aimed at the whole table, "Let the real family enjoy it." Silence. I counted 4 seconds on the clock on the far wall. My mother was looking at her dessert plate. Her hands lay folded in her lap like she was waiting for a service to begin. My father was looking at his wine glass, jaws set, eyes down. Behind me I heard a chair move. Daniel standing. His hand landed at the small of my back. Steady, not pulling. Just here. Gina made a small, wounded sound. Thomas looked at the ceiling. Frank, my father's old partner, looked across at my father and waited. My father said nothing. For 38 years I had believed that if the public day ever came, the truly public day, one of them would stand up. Not one of them stood up. That was the moment I became a different person. I just hadn't started moving yet. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't respond to Derek. I didn't respond to Patricia. Here's what was running in my head in those 4 seconds. Derek knew I had paid. Better than anyone in that room, he knew. He had locked himself into his toast 20 minutes earlier, stood up and told 28 people that he and Vanessa had made this night happen. A partial truth wouldn't hold anymore. If I had paid even $1, his whole performance collapsed. He needed me to have paid nothing. A large lie always needs a larger lie beneath it. That was the math he was doing out loud, in front of 28 people, with a glass shaking in his hand. And Aunt Patricia, she didn't need the math. She didn't need to know who paid for what. She'd been constructing that other sentence for 2 decades. Real family, the ones who stayed. Derek handed her the opening, and she walked right through it. And the 2 people in the world with the power to correct both of them were staring at their plates. I looked at my mother for 1 more second. She didn't look up. I looked at my father. He didn't look up. Something inside me made a clean, quiet click. I turned and walked back to table 3. "Baby," I said to Sophie, voice calm. "Grab your coat, sweetheart." "Okay, Mommy." I turned to Daniel. "Take Sophie to the car, please." "Yes. I'll be there in 3 minutes." He took Sophie's jacket. He took her hand. He did not look at the main table. He walked out through the side door. I folded my napkin, set it on my plate. I picked up Sophie's drawings, the finished one and the half-finished one, and slipped them into my bag. I picked up my wallet. I took out the business card. I held it between 2 fingers. I turned and faced the room. 29 faces. My mother, my father, my brother, my aunt, my cousins, Frank, the neighbors, all of them frozen exactly where the moment had caught them. "Enjoy the rest of your evening." That was all I said. I walked the length of the cedar room at a normal pace. Past the dessert cart, past the fireplace, past my father, who did not lift his eyes. The side door was 10 feet away. I opened it. The October air hit me like cold water. I let it. I crossed the garden path to the parking lot. My heels made small, hard sounds on the stone. Walking out was not my revenge. Walking out was the truth. The revenge, if you want to call it that, was the phone call I made in the car. Daniel had Sophie buckled in by the time I reached the SUV. He didn't ask anything. He opened my door, closed it after me, and got in the driver's seat. I pulled out my phone. I pulled out Priya's card. I dialed. She picked up on the second ring. "Ms. Harrington. Priya. I need to withdraw the authorization." A pause. 3 seconds. Just long enough to confirm she'd heard me correctly. "Understood, Ms. Harrington. Full balance or partial?" "Full balance. Keep the deposit. Present the remainder at the table." "To whom?" "The gentleman seated to the left of my father. His name is Derek Calloway. Callaway. Thank you. Gratuity? Add 20%. He can afford to tip." Yes, ma'am. Priya, I'm sorry. Don't be, Miss Harrington. A professional pause. When shall I approach the table? Dessert is still being served. Coffee after. Come to the table around 9:10 once the room has settled. I'll handle it personally. Thank you. I hung up. I set the phone in my lap. Daniel turned to me. His hand found my knee. You okay? I'm okay. You sure? I'm sure. He turned the key. The car came to life. We pulled out of the gravel lot at 8:17. In the back seat, Sophie hummed a song from a show she loved. She didn't know anything had happened. That was its own kind of grace. Through the window, I watched the warm glow of the Hearthstone Lodge fall behind us. Somewhere inside that light, my mother was still looking at her plate. My brother was still thinking it was his night. They had another 50 minutes. I did the math. I let them have it. The highway at night has its own kind of quiet. Headlights on the median, trucks groaning past. Sophie was asleep within 10 minutes. Daniel drove steadily. After a while he said, "You didn't cry." "No." "Are you going to?" "I don't think so." He nodded. Then, "Claire." "Yeah, I'm proud of you." "Don't." "Not yet." "I'm saying it anyway." I looked out at the lane markers. There was an ache in my chest I couldn't locate with my hand. Not grief, exactly. It was the feeling of setting something down that I'd been carrying so long I'd stopped noticing the weight. "Daniel." "Yeah, I'm done going back out there. Their house, Sunday dinners, holidays, until something actually changes." "Okay, both of them. Mom and Dad both." "I hear you, Claire. I love them. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm not showing up to that table anymore." "You don't have to explain it to me." I closed my eyes. We pulled into our driveway at 9:28. Daniel carried Sophie up to bed. I stood in her doorway and watched him tuck her in, pull the blanket up, press his lips to the top of her head. She murmured something in her sleep. I stood there until he walked out. Then I walked in. I stood beside my daughter's bed for 5 minutes, watching her breathe. The soft, even rise and fall of her hair across the pillow. I will not raise her at that table. I walked downstairs. I put the kettle on. I opened the back door. The October air smelled like wood smoke and wet leaves. I waited for my phone to ring. Back at the Hearthstone Lodge. 9:10 p.m. Derek had pushed back from the main table, collar open, laughing too loud at something Frank wasn't laughing at. Aunt Patricia was leaning into my mother, murmuring. My mother was nodding on autopilot. My father was turning his water glass between his hands. Around and around. Priya Mehta walked into the cedar room, carrying a black leather payment folder. She walked directly to Derek's seat. She did not smile. She did not frown. "Mr. Calloway, good evening. One moment, please." "Yeah, sure. What's up?" Priya set the folder beside his water glass and opened it slightly. "Ms. Harrington has notified us this evening that she is withdrawing the card authorization on file. The remaining balance for the private room, bar service, gratuity, and service charge is $5,430. We accept credit, debit, or bank transfer. The cedar room has a grace period until 9:30. The room stopped. Every fork, every breath. Derek's mouth fell open. It stayed open. "I'm sorry, who?" "Miss Harrington." "Miss Claire Harrington, host of record. The reservation was made in her name 3 weeks ago." "She's not even," she left. "That is correct, sir. She has left. The balance is due." "Vanessa, 2 seats away," set her wine glass down very slowly. Her eyes moved from the folder to Derek to the folder again. Aunt Patricia sat up straighter. My mother turned toward Priya, slow and uncertain. My father had not moved, still turning the water glass. But he had raised his eyes. Derek coughed a laugh. The laugh of someone turning a blow into a punchline. "There has to be some kind of mix-up. My sister didn't pay for any of this. I organized this evening. I have the signed contract, Mr. Calloway. The deposit was placed 3 weeks ago on Ms. Harrington's personal card." "Can I see that?" "I'm happy to bring you a copy." Thomas, quietly from across the room. "Derek, you stood up 20 minutes ago and told everyone you and Vanessa arranged all of this." We did. Did you or didn't you?" "Thomas, come on. I don't know what she's trying to pull." Vanessa stood up. Her chair scraped back. Her voice when it came was clear and cold. "Mason, What exactly did I contribute tonight? Honey, what did we contribute? Sit down. What did we contribute? The silence that followed was enormous. Aunt Patricia cleared her throat. There's obviously been a misunderstanding. Priya, dear, you've been caught in the middle of a family matter. Claire can be quite dramatic. Priya did not move. I'm presenting the remaining balance, ma'am. The contract is the contract. Aunt Patricia's mouth closed. Frank looked across the table at my father. Very quietly, Bob, who's covering the bill? My father looked up. His face had gone the color of old plaster. He looked at Derek. He looked at Patricia. He looked at my mother. My mother had begun crying, very quietly, into her napkin. Aunt Patricia rose from her chair and put on her committee voice. All right, let's take a breath. Priya, we are a family. We can sort this out privately. No need for all of this. There's nothing to sort, ma'am. I'm presenting a bill. Yes, but Claire walked out on her own parents. Vanessa, still standing, said flatly, Derek told me we were covering half. Honey, not right now. When? Not. When, Derek? She sat down hard. She picked up her wine, held it, and put it back without drinking. Derek reached for his wallet. He pulled a card, handed it to Priya. She stepped to the side station by the door. The reader beeped twice. Declined, Mr. Calloway. Run it again. Same sound. Try another. He had 3 cards. Each one failed. The last one was Vanessa's. When he pulled it, Vanessa turned her head slowly toward him. Is that my card? Just for tonight. That's my card. I'll sort it out. Derek. Priya was holding the card between 2 fingers, waiting. Aunt Patricia said, This is absolutely absurd, and nobody answered her. My father stood up. He did it slowly. He was 66 years old, and his back had been bad for years. And he stood up the way a man stands when he's lifting something off himself. He reached into his jacket and took out his wallet. An old card, his business account, the one I'd seen on his tax returns for years. He walked around the end of the table, past Aunt Patricia, past Derek, to where Priya was standing. Run this one. She ran it. It cleared. She handed him the receipt. He signed it with his pen, firm and clean. Then he looked at Derek. Son. Derek was staring at the card reader. Son. Derek looked up. Go home. Dad, go home. Derek opened his mouth. 3 words started. None of them made it out. Aunt Patricia said, Robert, really don't make this into. My father turned and looked at her. Blue eyes. Very still. Very cold. Patricia, not tonight. She sat down. Vanessa was already picking up her bag. She did not look at Derek. I am getting a car home. Do not call me tonight. She walked out. The door settled behind her. That sound was the only sound in the room for 10 full seconds. Guests began standing. Quiet. Careful. They said gentle goodbyes to my mother. They did not say goodbye to Derek. Aunt Patricia left without a word to anyone. My phone rang at 10:22. I was at the kitchen table with my 2nd cup of tea, sitting cold in my hands. Claire. Hi, Mom. Her voice was wet. Honey, what did you do? I left the party. Derek's cards were all declined. 3 of them. Your father paid over $5,000. I know, Mom. You called the coordinator. You withdrew your authorization. I authorized the remaining balance to be presented to Derek. Yes. Claire, Mom, I planned the dinner. I paid the deposit. I signed the contract. My brother stood up in front of 28 people and said I hadn't contributed a single thing. Aunt Patricia told everyone to let the real family enjoy it. You and Dad stared at your plates. I left the room. I made a phone call from the parking lot. Your father, my father didn't speak when I needed him to. I'm sorry he had to write a check tonight. I am not sorry that someone did. Honey, please. Derek's wife left. Mom. Stop. She went quiet. I love you. I love Dad. I'm not angry at anyone tonight. But I am not talking about Derek right now. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. When I'm ready, I'll call. What am I supposed to say to everyone? You don't have to say anything. Aunt Patricia already had her speech prepared. Let her use it. Claire, good night, Mom. I love you. I love you, honey. I hung up. I set my phone face down on the table. I carried my tea to the sink and poured it out. Upstairs. Sophie shifted in her sleep. The house made its small, familiar sounds. I had not cried. I did not cry now. Sunday was gentle and unhurried. Daniel made waffles. Sophie named each one. We went to the park and kicked a ball around for an hour. Sophie asked for ice cream on the walk back. We got ice cream. My phone stayed in my pocket. By noon, 16 missed calls. 9 from Derek. 5 from Aunt Patricia. 2 from an unsaved number that was probably my father calling from the old landline. I blocked Derek's number. I blocked Aunt Patricia's number. I did not block my father. Are you going to call him? Daniel asked at the park. Not yet. He needs to sit with it. Okay. We had dinner at 4:30. Tomato soup and grilled cheese. Sophie built a fort from the sofa cushions and named it Fort Sophie. Daniel walked through it on inspection. Is this structurally sound? Yes. I'm the engineer. Correct. You are. I sat on the floor of Fort Sophie at 6 p.m. and watched my daughter arrange her stuffed animals. Mommy. Yes, baby. Last night. Was that a bad party? Grown-ups had a misunderstanding, love. That's all. Are you and Daddy okay? Completely okay. Is Grandma okay? Grandma is going to need a little time. Sophie straightened a stuffed rabbit. She can have time. I kissed the top of her head. By 8, Sophie was asleep. By 9, the house was running in that low, comfortable hum of dishwashers and heating cycles. I slept 7 hours straight, the first real sleep in a month. While I slept, my brother drove to a motel off the interstate and made a plan I'd see on a recording in 14 hours. Monday, 11:35 a.m. I was at my desk with a client file open. My phone buzzed. Security camera alert. Motion at front door. I opened the app expecting a delivery driver. The camera showed 2 people on my front step. Derek. Aunt Patricia. Derek had a key in his hand. I watched him put it into my front door lock. Aunt Patricia stepped in first. The indoor camera feed lit up 3 seconds later. I did not breathe. They walked through my living room. Derek carried a canvas bag. Aunt Patricia went directly to the glass-fronted cabinet in the corner. She opened it. She started lifting out my mother-in-law's china. The blue and white set from Daniel's mother, Rosalie, passed through her mother's hands, then hers, then ours. A full 12-place setting. Rosalie had written my name in pencil inside the gravy boat in 2015, the week before she passed. Patricia was wrapping pieces in a dish towel and handing them to Derek. I picked up my phone and called Daniel. Indoor cam. Derek and Aunt Patricia are inside the house right now. Where are you? Office. I'm 12 minutes away. Turning around now. Call the police. I dialed the non-emergency line. My voice was flat. My hands were ice. 2 individuals have entered my home without authorization. I have video. Their names are Derek Calloway and Patricia Calloway Marsh. They are removing items from a display cabinet. I am on my way home. Ma'am, please stay where you are. We're dispatching. I stayed. I watched the screen. Daniel reached the house at 11:52. 2 officers were pulling up as he walked in. He stopped in the living room doorway. Both of you. Derek spun, holding 3 wrapped salad plates. Adam. Hey, man. We were just. Put the plates down. Daniel. Put them down. Sit on the couch. Police are outside. Patricia straightened, still holding a soup tureen. We're family. Those items belong to Rosalie Lockwood. My mother. She passed in 2015. These pieces have never been in your family. They are in this house because this is my house. The officers came to the front door. Calm voices, badges visible. Everyone stay where you are. Hands where I can see them. Derek set the plates on the coffee table. His hands were shaking. The lead officer, Mr. Lockwood? Yes. My wife is on the line from her office. She has camera footage. These 2 entered using a spare key. How did they obtain it? A key we left with my wife's parents years ago for genuine emergencies. Neither of these individuals was given permission to use it. My sister, Derek started. My wife did not give you access to her home. The officer nodded. Sir, ma'am, we need you to come with us. Aunt Patricia started to object. The second officer said, quietly, Ma'am, please come with us. Monday evening, 6:10 p.m. I was home. Daniel had changed the locks by 2:30. A friend with a locksmith shop came within the hour. I called Judith Wren from the couch. Judith was my law school friend, now a family attorney with a practice off Beacon Street and a patience that had an expiration date. Judith, talk. I walked her through it. She listened without interrupting. I don't want to sue them. You don't have to. I'll file 2 separate 12-month restraining orders. Sibling and aunt are different relationships, different incidents, clean separate filings. If they try anything again, then we talk civil action. Do it. Drafts by 9 a.m. Brenna, are you okay? I'm very, very okay. Good. Call your father. I hung up. I looked at Daniel across the room. He was on the sofa with Sophie asleep against his arm. I picked up my phone. I called my father. He picked up on the second ring. Honey, Dad, listen carefully. Derek and Aunt Patricia entered our home today using the spare key from your house. They were removing Rosalie's china from the display cabinet. I filed a police report. I'm filing restraining orders in the morning. A long silence. Dad, honey, his voice broke. I don't know what to. It was the first time I had ever heard my father cry. Tuesday, my mother drove to our neighborhood alone. She showed up at 11 a.m. She didn't ring the bell. She stood on the porch with one hand pressed flat against the door. The camera caught her there, still not moving. I opened the door. Mom! Her face crumpled. Brenna! Come in, Mom. Coffee. I sat her at the kitchen island. I poured. She held the mug in both hands. I didn't know what Derek was planning. He called me Sunday morning. Said he wanted to pick up a few things. I gave him the key without asking why. That's on me. She stopped, breathed. I'm sorry about Saturday night. I have been letting Patricia speak for me since you were 15. I was more afraid of her than I was of losing you. That is the truth, and I'm ashamed of it. I let her talk. I didn't soften it for her. She cried for about 6 minutes. When she stopped, I handed her a napkin. Mom, I hear you. I believe you're sorry. She nodded. An apology isn't the same as a change. I need you to choose me, not just ask for forgiveness and fold everything back to how it was. I know. I've blocked Patricia's number. I'd like you to do the same. For now. She took out her phone. She did it in front of me. Block. Confirm. That's step 1. Tell me step 2. We'll get there together. 6 weeks later, I was at the kitchen island on a Tuesday afternoon writing a Thanksgiving grocery list. Turkey, sweet potatoes, good wine, those little butter rolls Sophie likes. My phone rang. Mom, honey, your father and I would like to come to you for Thanksgiving. Just the 2 of us. Okay, I already told Patricia she won't be joining us this year. I told her directly. Good. I haven't seen Sophie since September. Is she well? She's wonderful, Mom. She'd love to see you. I'll bring her that book I found. She'll love that. A few facts I didn't offer and she didn't ask for. Derek accepted a plea 2 weeks ago. Misdemeanor trespass. $500 fine. 40 hours of community service. The case was briefly in the local paper. Vanessa filed for legal separation the Tuesday after the party. Word got back that she discovered more than just the declined cards. Aunt Patricia's restraining order was quietly filed in county court. She was not invited to a cousin's baby shower the following weekend. The cousin told me she'd seen enough. For other cousins said the same thing over the following week. My father began calling every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. alone on a video call. He wanted to see Sophie. Sophie showed him her drawings. He listened closely. We never discussed Saturday night on those calls. We didn't need to. He was choosing me the only way he knew how. I wrote butter rolls on the list. Mom. Yes. Come at 2. We eat at 4. Dress warm. I got you that throw blanket you mentioned. Okay, honey. I love you. Love you too, Mom. I hung up. I put the list on the fridge. Thanksgiving. 4 p.m. My dining room. Candles, warm light. Sophie's drawings taped along the hallway. Rosalie's china, all of it. Clean and shining, except for 5. My father at one end, my mother to his right, Daniel at the other end, Sophie beside me. The house smelled like rosemary and roasting things. My mother passed the bread basket. Sophie, sweetheart, I love that sweater on you. Thank you, Grandma. Sophie was using her careful voice, the voice of a child who had been paying close attention. Halfway through the meal, Sophie set down her fork. Grandma, My mother smiled. Yes, love. I have one question. Can I ask it? Of course. A little while ago, at your big party, people said mean things to Mommy. And you didn't say anything. Were you sad when they made her feel small? The table went quiet. My mother set her fork down slowly. She looked at my daughter across the candles. Her eyes filled. I was very sad, sweetheart, and I was wrong not to say anything. Grandma is learning how to use her words. I wasn't very good at it for a long time, but I'm practicing. I'm proud of you, Grandma. My mother cried quietly into her napkin. My father reached across and put his large hand over her wrist, held it there. Then he reached further and laid his other hand over mine on the tablecloth. I let him. Nobody spoke for about 30 seconds. The candle flame bent sideways and straightened itself. Daniel, very gently, "Who wants pie?" "Me," Sophie whispered. "Pie for Sophie. Pie for everyone." I had thought I knew what winning looked like. I had been wrong for 6 weeks. Winning looked like this table. My parents left at 8:15. My mother held me at the door for a long time. My father kissed Sophie on the top of her head. "See you Sunday. Sophomore show Grandpa the new drawings." "I will, Grandpa." Then they were gone. Daniel and I stood at the door. The first snow of the season had begun somewhere during the pie. Small, dry flakes that were barely real. "You good, Claire?" "I'm good." First time I've said that and meant it. He folded his arms around me from behind and rested his chin on my shoulder. Sophie called from the living room. "Mommy, it's starting." I turned back into the warm house. I switched the porch light off. Daniel locked the door. We sat on the couch. Sophie tucked herself under my arm. Daniel queued up something bright and animated. Outside, the snow kept falling. I thought about the cedar room. I thought about the black payment folder. I thought about the card reader beeping twice. Those memories were in me. They would stay in me. They did not hurt anymore. Here is what I want you to carry with you. Family is not a birthright. It is a table. You build your own. You decide who sits at it and what kind of voice is allowed. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for the people who raised you is refuse to let them teach your children that silence in the face of cruelty is what adults are supposed to do. If this story reached you, leave one word in the comments. State if you're still inside your family, with new lines drawn. Left if you had to step all the way out. There is no wrong answer. Subscribe, and I'll see you Sunday. Next week, the afternoon I discovered what had been taken from my husband's family estate account, and by whom. Link in the description.